In this video, I'll be sharing with you a requested tutorial from my group on how to draft this stylish structured sleeve princess darts asymmetric blouse. So if this is something you like, kindly hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. So let's dive right into today's video. This dress is from Judy_Atelier. I'm going to start by drafting out the front pattern, and here's my pattern. I've marked my shoulder to bust, under bust, waist and blouse length. So I'm marking this in a miniature form, right? The step you want to take is to mark your shoulder divided by 2, and you're going to come down by 1 inch. From there, mark a basic neckline of 3 inches, and you're going to connect from there to your shoulder, from your neckline to the shoulder slope. The next step is to find your chest line, which is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. Go ahead to draw out a straight line there. Now, mark back what you have on the shoulder, which is your shoulder measurement divided by 2, and connect, drawing out a straight line. Now, I will go ahead to divide my armhole into 2 equal parts, and I will mark. I'll come in by ½ inch from that point, and then place my tape and mark my bust circumference divided by 4. I'll connect all the way up and connect all the way towards this part. So after connecting, I'll go ahead to mark my dart. Mark your nipple to nipple divided by 2 and take this all the way to the lower part of this pattern. After doing that, go ahead to extend your line. I'll connect from the midpoint of my armhole to my bust point. Now, the next step is to mark your dart. Mark ½ inch here. If you're a plus size, please go ahead to use 1 inch. On the other side, I'll be using 1.5. For a plus size or busty person, use 2 inches. Now, I'll go ahead to place my ruler and I'll connect. After I'm done connecting, I'll place my curved drew and I'll connect from the bust to the under bust and repeat it at the other side. Remember, we are doing this in a miniature size. Mark ½ inch on both sides of your armhole and you're going to connect. Also connect at the other side of your pattern, right? So after you're done connecting at this point, this is what I have. Now measure that ½ inch on both sides, giving you 1 inch. Extend it towards the armhole of your dress. Now place your curved drew and connect it back. We're going to insert the measurement. Mark your bust circumference divided by 4. Measure the dart intake, replace and add your sewing allowance. Mark your under bust circumference divided by 4. Measure your dart intake, replace and add your sewing allowance. At the waistline, go ahead to mark your waist circumference divided by 4. Measure the dart intake, replace and add your sewing allowance. Mark your hip circumference divided by 4. Measure the dart intake, replace and also add your sewing allowance. Now just go ahead and connect this from the bust to the under bust to the waist and down to the blouse length of this pattern. After you're done connecting at this point, I'll mark my bust dart, and to get your bust dart is the difference between your shoulder to waist in front and your shoulder to waist at the back. Measure from your shoulder to waist in front and also measure your shoulder to waist at the back, then deduct what you have from the back from the front measurement. So I'll go ahead to transfer all this measurement that I have on this side on the other side of my pattern paper. Start by marking the neckline of this dress. So determine how deep you want the neckline to be, and I'll start connecting. I'll connect above my armhole and I'll go ahead to connect this. At this side, you can use like 2 inches after the dart curve, 2 or 3 inches. And for the shoulder extension, measure what is okay for you and mark. Make sure that you note the measurement you have there because you'll be using it on the other side. So I went ahead to use my tracing wheel to trace this out, and all I'll do is just to retrace what I have here on the other side of my pattern. Just go ahead and I'll trace this out and connect. So after tracing out, this is what I have. I'll connect it to the armhole of the dress. Now I'll come up by 2.5 here. I'll blend in my darts and I'll try to create that asymmetric hemline we have on this dress. So I'll just go ahead to blend here out, and I'll go ahead to connect this all the way to the other side of my pattern. So after cutting out, this is what I have, and the next step I'll take is to go ahead to label my pattern as center front, side front, and I'll go ahead to outline this. After I'm done outlining with the marker, what I'm going to do is to go ahead to cut out this pattern that I have drafted. So while cutting this out, I'll go ahead to blend this part together and cut it, because we have the seam at the upper part. Open it up and trace out the lower part. I'll go ahead to trace out the darts we have on this other side. Make sure you blend your darts when you're cutting this out. It is very important. So I'll also go ahead to cut out this side with the asymmetric hemline, and after I'm done cutting out, this is what we have. Now let's move over to the back pattern. For the back pattern, I've marked the measurement, the chest line, shoulder to bust, my shoulder to waist at the back, and I added extra 7 inches. For the blouse length of the front, I added extra 7 inches. Here, I'll go ahead to mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2. I'll mark ½ inch on both sides of this pattern, and I'll go ahead to extend my dart, that is, extend it to the upper part and mark it at the other side. Then take this all the way to the lower part. Repeat this there also. So after I'm done marking at this point, I'll insert my measurement. I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4. My sewing allowance. Mark the waist circumference divided by 4. Pick the dart intake, replace it, and add my sewing allowance. After marking that, I'll mark my hip circumference divided by 4 and add my sewing allowance. So after I'm done marking at this point, I'll go ahead to connect this all the way to the lower part of this pattern. Now the next step I'm going to take is to go ahead to work on the upper part. So now I'm going to mark the midpoint of my armhole, and I'm going to connect my dart at that point. So after connecting your dart at that point, that same height you used after your darts at the armhole, that's what you do, and come down by ½ inch from the chest line. Then extend it to the same measurement or extension you have for the front pattern. Now this is what I have here. I'll mark my lacing space, which I'll use 1.5. You can use 2 inches. So after that, I'll make a mark to indicate that I have a lacing at this area. Now at the back, one side is longer and one side is shorter. So this is the longer part. Now after cutting the longer one, I will have to cut out the shorter part. That is, you can use one pattern to cut out for your back. After cutting one side, you can go ahead to reduce the measurement on the other side to achieve what you want. So I'll just cut this out first. Let's say we're cutting out the part with the longer hemline. So I'll trace out the darts at this point, and after tracing it out, this is what we have here. Now to cut out the other side, I'll go up by 2.5 inches just like I did. Then I'll go ahead to reconnect it. After marking that 2.5 inches, I'll reconnect it to the lower part to create that asymmetric hemline. And after cutting it out, this is what I have. So join us in our next video. Thanks.